What's good, everybody? It's your boy Hans.
And this is Tristan.
Welcome to the Hans and Tristan podcast. Tristan, how are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing well, Happy to have made it through another weekend. It was restful, which is always needed in my case. So I'm looking forward to this next week. Just happy to be here. Thankful to have a job.
Amen.
There you go. So let's jump right into it. What's been going on today? Well, what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to touch on what's going on with the surges in Corona, what foolishness Trump has said, and recent updates on the whole entanglement. If you haven't heard, that's the word of 2020, summer 2020, summer of entanglements. So let's jump right into it. So Tristan, I know we're not surprised. We're seeing crazy amounts of surges with this COVID-19.
No, you open up the world. And even if some places, like say for instance, Georgia opened back up, even some places who weren't open, you think they're not going to migrate to Georgia? You think they're not going to come here? So not only are you dealing with the residents of the state, but then you're also dealing with out-of-towners. Of course they're going to go up.
Right. And for those who don't remember, when they first started to open up, it was around Memorial Day weekend, which is in Atlanta is a hot weekend. It's a hot weekend.
On top of the fact that
people don't come,
flights are dirt cheap.
Right, $2. So if you don't come for Atlanta for any other time, you come for Memorial Day weekend. So that was something that played into it as well. And then, like you said, people have not been following these restrictions. They have not been socially distancing. I saw on social media, was it the Compound? Some club where they put a pool in there?
Oh, the indoor pool party?
Yes.
Genesis said that's how Keisha got COVID.
That's not nice. Keisha wasn't there.
Oh, was she? It's like, nah. But no, I mean, even something like that is just like, that was so irresponsible. That was so irresponsible.
Too soon. I was on social media and saw the risk levels. Somebody posted something and it had activities on the right-hand side and it had COVID risk levels on the left-hand side. 1 being, minimal to no risk, 9 being extreme. And I thought it was a great graph that should be viral at this point because it seems like people are just really not understanding. There are certain things you just can't quite do yet. You can't go into the club. Like I had bars and club at risk level 9. You can't do that yet. Like you can't. You have to be down with the 1s, the 2s, where we're saying staying at home or going for a walk or going for a hike. I think grocery stores was like a 3, because you're not too
I have a
packed
confession.
in.
I was on a flight last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I too am part of the problem. However, I'm very strategic in how I shuck and jive because at the end of the day, 1, I didn't go to no ticket counter to get my stuff. I had my thing on my phone. I don't need to touch nobody. Don't take my stuff. Don't touch my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Then you got your whole row to yourself. You stay. But it was this one woman in the lobby. She just kept coughing. I'm like, nah, lady. Mm-mm.
But as a matter of fact, though, when I recall that list, taking a flight wasn't that high up there. Now, I know different airlines have different procedures and restrictions. So I know Delta, who I fly frequently with, they have basically, you're not sitting next to anybody.
Right. I had a whole row to myself coming in.
Yeah, you're not. But I also do know that I think American Airlines, they're not doing any restrictions or neither Spirit. So it really kind of depends on which airline you fly with,
right?
Because every airline is not following the same restrictions, which is dumb to me, but whatever. But
right.
Neither here nor there. We're just bringing this back up to remind everybody, although we have so many other things that are going on in this world, we're still struggling. And I mean struggling because our death tolls are still rising, struggling with this COVID situation. So please don't forget, although we got Jada and Will going on, although we have protests for racial injustice going on, we're still dealing with a pandemic that does not discriminate.
And the fun fact is, school opens, they pushed the start date for school back. It was supposed to be the 10th, now it's August 17th, but school still opens in a month. And if you see the
Yes.
emails I see and the CDC, and it's so funny because someone simply said, if you have to discuss reopening schools via Zoom, then schools should not be reopened. So if
Exactly.
you don't even want to be around each other, but you're willing to open up schools.
Right. And that brings me that brings us to our next segment or topic, is that Trump out here threatening to cut funding for states that don't open up schools this fall.
But he can't even
And
do that.
he preferenced it. Well, he can threaten to do it, but yeah, it takes, that's Congress. Like, you can't do that. That has to be passed by law. But he is using this as a political agenda. It's basically saying that those who don't want to reopen are supporting the Democrats and the fake news of what's going on with the pandemic and everything. And I'm going to be honest with you, Tristan. Out of all the foolishness he's gone, this actually hit a nerve with me, just because this is literally life or death that you're playing with, and it's innocent lives. That like really struck a chord and like really made me mad, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be down there with these teachers. You're not going to be down there with these
So your
kids.
kids don't even go to these schools.
You're not going to be there.
And then on top of that, the schools are already overcrowded, right? Public schools are already overcrowded. I don't care if it's the best of the best school, it's still overcrowded. How in the world strategically are you going to manage even changing classes? Like, think about high school and transitioning from classes and how crowded those hallways are. Really?
Right. And what he's not getting is that every situation is not the same. Just like the spikes in Texas are not the same for Cali, are not the same for Atlanta, are not the same for Florida. Each school, county has to make the decisions that are best for their situation and their level of the pandemic. So just like you said, there are some schools, especially our schools are minority schools, that tend to be underfunded and overcrowded. Those schools are going to have a tougher time reopening, because they have to figure out so many moving parts. Just like you said, something as simple as changing classes is hard.
Lunchtime.
Whereas when you have schools that are in the rural areas where there's not so many kids, they can actually open sooner because they don't have as many moving parts to worry about.
Right.
So you're not thinking about the people that you're serving when you're making these threats. And it's like angering me, because you're literally putting kids at like in danger. You're literally saying, hey kids, I don't care, you need to go to school. So I am like upset and hope that our governors, people in charge, are really not listening to this man and doing what's best for their populations. Because I know in Fulton County, I saw the other day that they're starting with virtual, because they have not yet.
They provide virtual as an option.
Right. So because they have not yet figured out what's the best kind of scenario for all, they're throwing virtual as an option, which I think is great, because if I don't feel comfortable sending my kid, to school, I should have an option, which I'm loving that they're doing. I know another person, it's not Fulton County, it's Atlanta Public Schools. They're doing hybrids, right, for their younger kids, because the younger kids, what people don't understand is virtual learning doesn't work for all classes.
So it don't work for even some of the older kids. Like some of the older kids even struggle with that.
So for your younger kids, it's even harder. So they're doing kind of hybrid situations, right? Where they have days on, days off kind of situations. So that's what you're going to start to see. You're going to start to see different phases, different strategies, and that's what needs to happen. You need to cater to your population and what's going on with the pandemic for your city or county, rather than just going for a blanket statement, because not everybody's experiencing. Because, we have family up north. It's not the same like it is.
DC still closed. I mean, they've opened certain things, but they have their requirements. Like the pools are not open. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just certain things that you're just not gonna have the accessibility to. But given what we see with Trump, he is a bully and he's an idiot. I mean, those are the areas he's been consistent in.
I guess that's a good thing, right? We should not be surprised.
I'm not surprised. No, I'm lying. Like I told you, when I saw that commercial yesterday.
Oh yeah, tell the people about the commercial.
With the defunding. Okay, so boom, the commercial goes like this. Ring, and it's like an automated service. Hi, you've reached 911. Sorry, we can't come to the phone right now because we've been defunded. If you're being raped, press 1. if you're being robbed, press 2. You know, and then it goes on it lists all these, you know, of course, crimes. And then it says, and we'll be sure to get back to you within 5 days. And then it's like, you know, brought to you by Trump campaign 2020. And I'm just like, that's not what defunding means. Defunding means you should not have a tank. Like you're police. Why do you have a tank? Why? Why do you have a fucking bazooka? You're the police. Why? Who the fuck are you going up against?
I don't know.
That you need a fucking tank.
They're ready for war. Like,
right.
war.
But I'm like, war against who? That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's like, that's what defunding means. You don't have unnecessary access to military equipment because you're not fighting the military. You're protecting and serving your local community.
Right. And it
but
shows
I know the boys with toys, they like to have their little toys and shit, but no.
It shows another side of what you said of things that he's being consistent with, right? Fear mongering. He's very consistent in that, you know, just out here creating a panic and benefiting off of it. Because, you know, there's people that'll eat that up.
Right, but my thing is this.
That'll eat that up.
Listen. But with the whole Black Lives Matter, that's the only component you took from it. That's the only piece you chose to emphasize.
Come on,
that's
man.
the only. So you are hell bent on ensuring that the police have their money, but you're also simultaneously threatening to cut funding from schools. You're a fucking idiot.
But that's also the piece that proliferates misinformation. So just like when we had the whole issue with Colin Kaepernick, right? You know how he turned it into disrespecting the service people, which it had nothing to do about.
Absolutely.
Right? But he used it as a narrative to spin it. And that's what he does. He's a king of deception and misinformation, and people eat it up. That's why he had people dying out here drinking bleach or whatever disinfectants because he said something. It's just all types of foolishness. Did you hear about the Goya thing before we move on to the next one? So he had the CEO of Goya invited to the White House. And the CEO of Goya made comments basically saying, yeah, Trump's a good president. He's a builder and everything like that. So people are calling for him, for the CEO of Goya to be canceled. Cancel Goya. People are videotaping themselves throwing away Goya products and everything like that. And the CEO of Goya even doubled down. He went on Fox News and said, if I'm invited to the White House, what am I supposed to say? You know, no, and da-da-da-da and everything like that.
You know, you know how many people said no, they weren't coming since he's been
exactly all the time. People say no all the time. Actually, like he can't force you.
Right.
Sorry.
And then he turns around and uninvites them to make himself feel better, like he has control.
Exactly. But what I want to say to that CEO is, I hope you're seeing the bigger picture, right? He's using you to get the Latino vote. That's the only reason. He's pandering. That's the only reason you're invited. Just like when he first got on, he invited Steve Harvey, Kanye West,
all the Omarosa, blah, 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 blah.
He's pandering. Don't forget, he's trying to get reelected. So don't think that he's out here supporting your mission, supporting your cause. He's probably never used Goya in his life.
A day in his life.
Don't even know what it's about. And then Trump's gonna go and tweet, I love Goya. Because dude doubled down. Anywho.
What owl can you find Goya in?
That's what I'm saying, sir. Do you know what Goya is?
Right.
Anyway, guys, please see the smoke and mirrors. Please see the smoke and mirrors. Pandering 101 right there. That's what that is. Pandering.
You know it's elections are getting closer when the circus comes into town.
Foolishness. We've had a circus for how many years now? Circus ain't left yet.
I'm so sick of it. Like
ain't left yet. But anyway, so last week we talked at length about open relationships. And the spark to that conversation was, of course, the August Alsina interview with Angela Yee on her podcast and her show, which led to Jada saying that she was going to bring herself to the red table. So I know we broke down, what does an open relationship mean? What does it look like? And that an open relationship doesn't always mean sex. It can mean other things. And, what does it look like and things of that nature. So Jada brought herself 2 days ago to the red table with her husband, Will, and they had a 12 to 15 minute long discussion to kind of shed light, I guess, on her perspective and what she thinks or feels happened. So I watched it, and my initial
You
reaction
weren't even
was,
interested in watching it. I had to force you to watch it. Because you're like,
you did
I already
have
know
to
what it
force me.
is. You're like, I already know what
I
it
already,
is.
and I wasn't wrong. I watched it, and I
You're
was like,
never really
okay, it's
wrong, but still, it's
exactly
like,
what it was.
how can I have inside jokes with you if you're not gonna like entertain
I
me?
get it. You want me to have the full experience. I get what you're
Yes.
saying.
I want
So
you to
what were
see the
your thoughts?
awkwardness. First of all, I had to remind myself that they're professional actors. One. Two, I felt real bad for Will because I'm just like he could key and laugh and all he wants to, but baby, the eyes don't lie. And them eyes was telling me he wanted to come across that table on her. Three. Am I at three? Three. Let me tell you, Jada, I love how this is my favorite part. I love how she said that she heals herself through healing others because she's still trying to make it sound like she's a martyr. Like, no, sweetheart, you cheated. Regardless of where y'all were in y'all relationship, at the end of the day, regardless if Will stepped out, whatever y'all felt like y'all legally still married, right? Y'all ain't left the relationship yet. And you cheated, right? So, and I like when she was like, I was in an entanglement, and Will was like, really, Jada? An entanglement? He called her ass. I love that because it's just like, Jada, we get it. Like, you can bullshit us and some shit. And that's why I really don't watch the Red Table Talk. I'm just like, I'm good on that shit. But nigga, just be real. Like, when do you drop the facade and just be real? Like, yes, I didn't feel wanted by my husband. This little young joint came to me. I took advantage of him and the situation. Do I feel bad? No, because she looked unbothered.
Yeah, there's so much going through my mind. But I will agree with you. Her disposition, her affect did not match, I think, the message that she was trying to convey. There was zero accountability from what I saw.
And
Because
empathy. She
even
has zero empathy.
because when Will said, I feel like the husband who's at the press conference and saying about your transgressions, she stopped and, not transgressions. I wouldn't say transgressions. Like, she didn't do anything wrong, right? And there was so many points in that interview where she would discreetly validate her actions for, for whatever reason she put out there, because there was a myriad of them. What I took from it was Will is still hurt by that.
Oh, yes.
And if you don't see that, I think you missed it, because like you said, it's in the eyes. And one thing I saw, which was cool to me, sad for him, of course, but cool to me, actors, right? I'm a Will Smith fan. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I enjoy his acting. I think he's a great actor. Like, yep. I think he's even really underrated. Just the fact that he hasn't gotten Oscars for some of the performances that he's, like Ali. Come on, Anyway, when you see a face that he gave you in like an emotional moment in a movie, but this is in a movie, like it's real life, like you can tell, like, that's a real face. Like, a face that he gave, like you said, the eyes that he gave when she was talking, it looked like my man was hurt. Now, granted, I'm not naive. Will knew about this, right? He knew before we knew, of course.
Absolutely.
But yet and still, that doesn't mean it's not a sensitive subject. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt when we talk about it.
Doesn't mean you're not embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? Like, the world is talking about this.
And what I wanted, here's what I expected to happen when I saw that she was going to bring herself to the Red Table Talk. I expected for her to be more real and not hide behind the facade of fake woke and healing and awareness.
Exactly. And that's my point. Because I'm just like, at what point do you cut the shit, right? Like, so when she was like, oh, I'm coming on a Red Table Talk, I'm like, this already gonna be bullshit already because of the platform you're putting it on. Because this is the platform. So you got to perform under this umbrella because of this platform, right? So you're not gonna come and keep it real, right? So on top of that, it's like, at what point do you publicly apologize to your husband? Because she did not do that, not once.
But I agree, and here's where I disagree with you. I agree that her saying she was coming on the Red Table Talk gave me pause, right? But I also disagree because she could have used that as an advantage to elevate her Red Table Talk. You get what I mean? If she kept it real, think about it. Think about how much more we would probably want to listen.
Right.
You get what I mean?
I know. Because I'm like, at the end of the day, if you could be real about your fucking self and your shit, then yes, at the end of the day, you got my support because nobody's perfect. But you can't preach to other people and then go ahead and try to heal other people. But then when your ass is under that microscope, you don't have that same motherfucking concept. You still you have a facade. And I'm like, I don't like that.
Let me read a tweet that just encapsulated how I felt watching this. So this is a tweet and it says, Jada is masterful at weaponizing the language of healing and emotional awareness to present the facade of introspection and reflection, all for the purpose of evading accountability, which is like a perfect definition of what she did at this Red Table Talk.
Whoever wrote that dissected that so perfectly because that's exactly what she did. She definitely utilized the platform of healing and growth and evolution to her advantage. And it's just like, first of all, you started off saying, oh, he was extremely sick and da-da. So again, you're painting him as if you are the hero and you're saving him first and foremost. And then second, you're seeing here, even in your wrong, you're still making it right by saying, I heal myself through healing other people. No, you fucked him and that's what you wanted to do. Because if you were healed for real, then you would be able to be open and honest about exactly what it is. But then when she was like, the entanglement, I'm just like, let me write this down. let me write this down. I use
That's
this.
the word you're gonna be using.
Listen, I did not
say
see
she's
that
the
was
new
an
Future.
Entanglement, okay?
She said she's the new Future. Future was like, man, entanglement. Bam.
He about to drop the illest album with that
Listen.
word. And I'm just like, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror, right? As a healer, we know that we as people are still working on ourselves, but how can you not even confront your own bullshit?
No, I'm with you. And this is what I want to put out to our listeners. We're not saying that some of the stuff she was saying wasn't right at all, but she's not giving you the true and real life projection of how things go in real life. You can't go through some mess and skip all the way to healing. That's not how that works. That's TV stuff. That's really like a facade. That's smoke and mirrors. Healing is a true process. And what she didn't do, and she's doing you guys a disservice who actually feed on her and look to everything for her. Like, she's giving you a disservice because she didn't really acknowledge what she did to her husband, what it really did to her, and what she was looking for in order to get you to that next step. You know, as therapists, that's like us talking to somebody who's just experienced a great death or loss in their life and trying to take them all the way to the healing. Yeah, you know, just think about how you're gonna grow. No, they're not even ready for that. You have to first go through, okay, what did that person mean to you? You get what I mean? What does this loss mean to you? How is it gonna impact your life? What do you get what I mean? And she skipped all of that and just went through the healing. No. Miss us with the healing, because clearly you guys are still together. We're not on any guys that you guys did not make it through this. We know you're here, you're together. This happened years ago. We know the timeline. So understand, we're not ignorant of that. But please do us the service of actually going through the process of this healing, of this growth that you're so quick to put out there. But even more than that, I'm siding with you on the fact that she didn't give her husband the respect of an apology.
Right.
That's my thing. And she kept prefacing it by saying, oh, we were like over.
Right.
Like over is not the same thing as over.
And that's the thing is like, she blamed everyone but her. Like, oh, well, you were done with me and da-da-da. He was like, oh yeah, I was done with your ass. But at the end of the day, like, them papers weren't signed. And regardless, because I am not naive enough to believe that Will is squeaky clean in this process.
No, not at all.
But that just because someone goes out and does something doesn't mean you go and do the same thing, right? We have to be accountable for our own behavior. So even if Will cheated from day one up until present day, you still have to be responsible for what you did as a person, right? And the fact that you're dodging that responsibility, you blame Will, you blame August, you blame, now you're trying to heal people through your coochie and all this other shit. It's just like, no.
You ain't Erica.
Right. Because Erykah Badu, I didn't be having them niggas in a trance. I be like, damn.
You wearing dashikis and...
But I'm just like, at what point do you cut this shit and be real about the part you played?
And you could see that Will was pushing her towards that because his line of questioning was looking for more transparency. And you could tell like she wasn't about that. She was just like, look, this is really just a PR kind of situation,
That's
just so we
it.
could kind of talk around it, but not really talk about it.
Right. This
And
is
like
for views.
you're asking these questions that are like directly at the situation. Because when he said, what were you looking for? Like what went like right into it. And just like you said, when he called her out, entanglement, it was a relationship. And she was like, yeah, relationship. Like he was going in and you could
Right.
see he was trying to get her to get to a place of vulnerability to show people what they were really missing out.
Right. And that was the perfect, because he set her up and she just let it fall. She didn't even catch it. And I'm just like, yo, your husband is trying to save your career. He's really trying to save your career, because at this point you're looking fake. At this point you're looking like you're just putting on a facade, right? And at the end of the day, if he is willing to even sit there, because most niggas like, nah, I ain't showing up for shit. But he's willing to sit there with you, clearly hurt, clearly distraught, and he's still like, all right. And you're just like, no, mm-mm. And then that fake ass bullshit at the end, I'm just like, bad marriage for life. I'm just like, ugh. Ugh. Like at that moment, I felt bad for them. And I usually don't feel bad for rich people. But at that moment, I felt bad.
It was so tacky when they did
So
that
tacky.
bad marriage. I was like, that was so tacky. And I could just see Will hurt when he made that statement about, oh, I'm gonna get you back. And
He was
she
so
was just
serious
like,
about that.
he was serious. And she was like, no, it's not about getting it. He was like, no, it is about that for me. Like,
No.
you could tell he's still upset about that. And she basically crossed some agreed upon line that they had, and her not really fessing up to it is
It's
really
insult.
bothering
It's
him.
an insult. You adding insult to injury, right? Because just like anyone, if you're not willing to honestly admit what you did and be accountable for what you did, then you have the ability to do it again.
And people don't understand that's what is really behind an apology. It's really you stating out loud that you recognize what you've done and how it's affected the other person. If we think about it, it really doesn't take back what happened. It doesn't reverse anything. What
Nope.
it does is it acknowledges your wrongdoing and the impact it had to the other person.
Right.
You see, like those two things have to happen for it to be an actual apology.
Absolutely.
And that's what was missing from the red table talk. And that's what we're pointing out. She did not at any point take full accountability for her actions and also recognize how it negatively impacted her husband and even her family. Because we didn't even talk about that, or they didn't even talk about that too.
Right.
What are Willow and Jaden thinking about this? And the other son, whose name I forget, the older son, who often gets left out because sometimes he feels left talented. But anyway, like him, what are people thinking about, the family? What are they thinking? So I am honestly shocked that it didn't go deeper. Like, I had hopes that she was going to take advantage of this and be transparent, because let's be real, we as Black people need to see that from our quote unquote couple goals or people who we put on a pedestal. We need to see that, yes, Black love does endure, because that's the ultimate message, right? Their delivery was just flawed, because that's what it is.
But
all types of relationship takes work.
Is it really enduring if y'all just going through the motions?
No. I don't see. Here's where I disagree. I don't think they are going through the motions. I think behind the scenes, she's doing what she needs to do. What bothers me, though, what bothers the hell out of me is that when it's on front camera, you owe him that same responsibility and respect that you do behind the scenes. Does that make sense? So that's like me treating you like crap on this podcast. You get what I'm saying? But behind the scenes, we're all cool. I treat you. You get what I'm saying? No, I owe you the same respect that I give you behind closed doors out in the general public. And that's what bothers me. But I honestly do think that behind closed doors, she said what she needed to say to Will. You know what I'm saying? She apologized. But my thing is this: you owe him, now that it's public, you owe him that again. Like
Right.
that needs to
To me,
happen
I'm
again.
not talking about the words of the situation. I'm talking about the actions and the dynamic of the relationship, right? So yes, you have this transgression. Yes, I think she did, privately apologize to him. But I'm talking about just the relationship in and of itself, right? So at some point it got to this point, right? And then for your husband to sit across from you and say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna get you back." That means this is still an ongoing situation in regards to your dynamic, right? Where other people, external factors are still penetrating your relationship. So that's my thing, is like, is that a relationship I would really want? Regardless if this publicly came out or not, would I really want outside people penetrating my marriage?
Well, I think that for them, it is just because the time that it happened, the length of time, right? So essentially, what's the difference between what Jada and Jay-Z did or D Wade, and even though D Wade and Gabby weren't married,
That's a
um,
break. That's a break, baby.
right? Carmelo and Lala, I didn't know he had a kid on her. They were married. So
And maybe I'm just not meant to be married, because I'm like,
you get what I mean? So I think they've honestly worked through it, just because it's been 4 or 5 years. I think they have taken the proper steps, and we'll actually reference it. He said therapizing. So they've been through therapy and they've been through the process of healing and working through it. My thing is, if you expose yourself to this platform and you're really committed to it, give us the real. That's my thing. Don't miss me with that whole fake, oh, now I'm trying to keep some secrets, and no. When you presented this platform, you presented it as something that was real, that was raw, and that
but
was
it's real
something
for
that was gonna
everybody
take us
else.
to
It
the
ain't real
right.
for her.
Thank you. When she brought Jordan on there, it was real. You get what I'm saying?
And
Like,
that's the thing.
don't,
It's not real for her. She said,
and
"This
that's
ain't
what
for
bothers me.
me." No,
And that's what
absolutely,
bothers. That's
absolutely.
what
Because
bothers me.
you can't expect me to follow because it's a difference between you sitting here, and we know this as therapists, right? It's a difference between us giving advice and helping our clients, but then our life is a fucking shit show. Because at
Right.
some point it trickles down, right? And those lines get crossed. But if you're not taking your own advice, why the fuck would I take your advice? If you
Exactly.
can't be real in this moment on your platform, which you created for realness, then what we doing here?
It really discredits her whole brand.
Absolutely. And like
It
I said, your
discredits
husband
it.
is even there trying to help you preserve this brand. Because we all know shit happens. All right, now here's your chance. But what you do, you tap dance all around that motherfucker. Like you motherfucking goddamn moonwalk around everything. And then you had a rebuttal for everything. Like you practice your responses. You practice these, things of what you're going to say and how far you're going to allow it to go.
I would have much rather her say silent.
Absolutely.
Because
That.
I would respect that more than anything.
Right.
Like
Because
I
I'd
would
be
have
like, shit, it ain't my
respected.
fucking business.
There you go. That's exactly it. And I know that's how she started it, but you're on here now, so it is. It's our
Right.
business now.
But
So I
here's
would
my
have.
thing is like, I hate when motherfuckers voluntarily lie to me. Because I ain't actually do a red table talk. But now here it is, you voluntarily lying to me and shit like, what the fuck?
Exactly. That's 12 minutes of my life I can't get back. Thanks, Tristan.
Absolutely
But
not. Listen, I needed you to see what when motherfuckers be seeing some bad shit, you be like, I need you to see this bad shit and make sure I ain't tripping.
right. Maybe I want to know if I'm seeing, if you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. But
But
yeah,
that was a mess.
I would have respected her more if she was like, that's none of y'all business. Y'all figure it out. We good over here. Okay, we're good. You get what I'm
Because
saying?
at the end of the
we're
day, she
good.
didn't have to respond. Look how many people say shit about Beyonce, Jay-Z. Them niggas never respond. So
They
we
just made money. They
acclimated,
made
right?
albums.
We acclimated to niggas not responding, right? But at the end of the day, she chose to respond. And then you had several days to get your response in motherfucking order. And you're talking, but you ain't saying nothing.
At all. And it's funny. People are eating it up, though. Eating it up.
Because
I'm
I
like,
had
y'all don't
many
see.
memes I done posted.
Y'all don't see through those fancy words. Like, she's saying nothing. She's saying the same thing over and over again. And here's the thing. Through this process, I found myself and just grew so much. And I'm so thankful for this process. She just said that in 16 different ways.
Absolutely.
That's all she said for 12 minutes.
That's it. And my thing is, again,
minutes.
when you're acclimated to dealing with bullshit, you see bullshit. Because how many clients we come to like, They come to us and they be like, oh no, I'm fine. Are you fine? Like, are you fixed? Are you? I mean, because I'm watching you. I'm looking at your husband, motherfucking, with damn near tears in his eyes.
Yeah, that's what made
And
it
you
hard
sitting
for
there
me.
crisscross applesauce in your damn chair and shit, motherfucking looking all relaxed and shit. And I'm like, she looked so unbothered. And that bothered me.
Her body language. Yeah, her body language to me was like, I'm still guarded. Y'all gonna get what I tell you, what I give you, but y'all not gonna get the real. And Will was just like, all right, I'm here. No.
Let's do it.
Killed me, man, because he was throwing her alleys. Like,
right, and she was not
let's
taking
be
them.
real.
And
She was
she was
like,
not
no.
taking them. She was not taking them. And that's my
what
thing.
Do you think? Okay, so here's my theory. I think for her, she has issue with looking quote unquote weak and vulnerable, and she thinks that would discredit everything she's built so far. You know,
but that would only enhance.
Exactly. It would actually do the opposite, but she's built up a platform of self-empowerment, right? You know, actualizing your true self through self-reflection and just all of that, you know, which some of that is actually true, but we won't get into that. But that's what she's built her platform on. So for her to actually, you know, show you a side that, you know what, I'm not as strong as I perceived or have portrayed myself to be, and that I struggled with this and I did this and everything like that, it would actually make you more endearing to your fans. Fans would be able to relate and be like,
exactly.
Right. They'd be like, oh snap, I kind of went through the same, and you still made it? Okay. Like, that's what we were looking for, and she dropped the ball, man. Like I said.
And you know what? I think this would have been a prime opportunity, because the reality is we don't publicly see these public figures. We don't see the women cheating situation, right? Most times it's men, whether it's rappers, actors, you know, what athletes, we always see the men. But we know that women cheat too. So this would have been a perfect opportunity for her to be extremely transparent and normalize cheating across the board. But she did not take that opportunity because she's just like, I'm out for self. Like, y'all cool and shit. I appreciate y'all showing up, but I'm out for self. I'm not even here for my husband. I'm not here for my kids. I'm not here for August. I'm here for self. Right. And she made that very, very clear. And I'm just like, what happened to Peaches from Low Down Dirty Shame? I miss Peaches from Low Down Dirty Shame. Where is she? Like, come on now.
That ain't the Baltimore in her. That's something else. But she definitely did not want any smoke. She didn't want people dragging her. And to me, that's just fake. I can't think of any other word. If you're going to be true to your brand, be true to what you're going through. Or if you really respect your relationship and set up that boundary, don't say nothing. Don't bring it to the red table.
Because let me tell you something. Ain't no way if I did some shit, I'm not going to go to my clients and be like, all right, y'all, look, I done fucked up too. Like, no, absolutely not. But this is what happens.
Beyonce would never.
Absolutely. But this is what happens when people put themselves or call themselves healers and call themselves, you know, I'm not saying she's calling herself therapist, but when you put yourself in that realm, this is what happens, because baby, them tables turn, because the healer is human too. And those tables turn, but she wasn't ready for that.
Nah, man. She didn't think it was gonna come out like that. She thought August was solid.
But see, the thing is, even if he's not, right, when you're genuinely in a space of healing, your past doesn't haunt you. Your past, you have no problem talking about that shit. Because let me tell you something, Tristan done did many things, and I talk about all that shit, because I'm just like, I'm not a prisoner of my past. What I did is what I did, and I'm not that person anymore. But the fact that she could not acknowledge it shows me that she's still that person. It's just a matter of the right nigga sliding through.
You think so?
Listen.
I think for me, I just took it as her still being scared. She's not matured to the point that she wants us to believe that she's matured.
Right.
So if you've truly gone through that healing process fully and have really grown, just like you said, you'll talk about, hey, it'll feel uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong. It'll still feel uncomfortable because it'll bring up memories and everything like that. But yeah, and still what'll get you through is like, all right, I made it through, and this is what happened, and this is where we're at. And she doesn't understand. By just inserting that would have changed the whole mood, the whole dynamic of that red table talk by starting by, hey man, this is what I did. And to you, Will, my husband, I'm sorry.
Because that would have been my
Like,
first sentence.
yeah, like to put you through this.
I
And I
apologize to my
know,
husband. I apologize to my family. I
right,
apologize to my fans. Like that would have been my first and last fucking statement.
right. Just like with Kevin Hart, when he got caught cheating on his wife while she was pregnant, he came out, apologized to her, apologized, boom, 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 boom. And he even he has a series on Netflix
Oh, I saw it. He's a
where
pure asshole in that series, and I hated it.
and I haven't watched it. He has a
That's
series on
because you're
Netflix and
always
everything.
working. Shit.
Well, I got to get to it, Tristan. We ain't all balling like you.
I'm not
So,
balling, but I be finding time to be in other people's business.
but anyway, I say all this to say there's power in taking accountability. You get what I mean? People view you differently, and it allows them to ride with you to wherever you want to take them.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't see that willingness to take accountability, then we really don't know what your true intentions or motives were. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it makes you seem like you're
I'm gonna tell you why I don't
you
like
have deception.
I don't like his apology. And that's not for me because I'm not his wife and fuck me, I ain't nobody. But to me, I felt like his apology was more about saving his brand as opposed to actually,
Who you talking about?
Kevin.
Which apology? On the show?
The one with his wife when he cheated, got caught, whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Which apology you talking about? The one he did on the show or something?
No, the one he just fucking did. He just put it out there. Because on the show, he was just like I said, he was just an asshole on the show. He was like nasty to his friends. He was just like, it was just, ugh. He should have just not even aired that shit. But most people ain't see it anyway, so it don't matter. But yeah, I feel like that apology was more about saving his brand, right? And I'm like, miss me with a fucking apology. But at the end of the day, if your wife privately accepts you and continues, that's not my place to say, whether I agree, disagree, whatever the case may be. I have absolutely nothing to do with that. But I still have my opinions as a person. But I don't know. I just feel like, don't apologize to me if you don't fucking mean it. I don't care. Keep that shit.
Oh well, I can't judge that, but I still think it takes some courage to do that because Shady ain't do it. There's multiple people out there who ain't do it, so I'll give them that. And also, before we close, I want to say, let's point out the double standard too, because if this was Will, he would have been canceled to the high heavens. Y'all would have been calling for the Fresh Prince to be taken off of air, all his movies to be taken down.
And that's my point in regards to the double standard, right? Because, like I said,
call that out.
Right, it's public. We publicly see men cheat consistently, right? And let's not act like women aren't cheaters as well. But this would have been the perfect time for her to address the biases, address the double standards, address all the bullshit, right? That comes with, being in these kind of realms and situations. But she definitely dropped the ball. But I agree with you. If it was Will, it would have been a whole different situation. And just because, like, hell, you know who had the best apology? God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant.
Miss me with that $14 million. Miss me with that. That's not the best apology.
That canary yellow diamond.
Miss me with that. That's not the best apology.
That canary yellow diamond.
No.
I was like, I felt his sincere.
That's funny to me. You're creating a double standard.
Of course, that's what life is about.
See, how you gonna accept that but not accept Kevin Hart? Kobe's, that was the same thing, him saving his brand. She was about to get half. She wasn't with him. She was in the gym. So
Don't
he's like,
do that.
He said half. Hey, baby, here's this ring. You can't get half, though. Same thing as Kevin Hart.
All of them out here being fake and saving their brand, but at least she got that canary yellow diamond. Like, that shit looks good on her hand.
That's not the same. Jay-Z moved to another coast. He had to get a whole nother house. She was like, we're not staying on this side.
And let me tell you something. Their prenup is ill because I think she get like $23 million for each child she busts down.
I don't know the particulars.
I be knowing. I be like all up in this.
All I know is it's always cheaper to keep her. So that rule stays consistent across the board.
That's probably why I ain't married, because I'm out. I don't give a fuck.
unless you're Jeff Bezos and you're about to be a trillionaire, where you don't care if she gets half because you're about to be a trillionaire.
Listen, right?
And that means nothing to you. You're like, okay, you can have my half my fortune now. I'm gonna make even more than that in a couple of years. So
listen, because he got so much money, he can't even spend it before he die. His grandbabies can't even spend it before they die. Like, God damn.
He's not rich. He's wealthy. There's a difference, people. Look it up.
Major difference. But I'm good on all them folk because I ain't married and I'm in entanglements though. I like that word.
You like that word?
That just replaced the word it's complicated.
Facts. Facts. Anywho, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Let us know what you think about this whole entanglement foolishness. Should Jada have said more to Will? Should Will have expected more of Jada? So much to discuss. As always, guys, you can hear us and watch us on YouTube. You can hear us on all platforms where podcasts are heard: iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere podcasts are heard, you'll hear the Hans and Tristan podcast. So please subscribe, like, share, tell all your friends. We appreciate you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week. And please interact with us. Let us know what you guys think about the show. We're always happy to hear from you guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.